Вітаю! В ефірі телеканалу «Перший західний» програма «Прямо в очі». І сьогодні у нашій студії непересічний гість. Найстарший військовий кореспондент Європи, фотокореспондент, документаліст і письменник, який побував у 34 гарячих точках в час війн на нашій планеті, Патрік Шавель. Вітаю вас у нашій студії. Welcome you to our studio. Thank you for having a possibility to talk with me and with our audience. And my first question will be, you spent almost all your life making the possibility for all the world to see, to hear, to understand what is going in the war or conflict zones. How do you see your personal mission?
Well, at first when you leave, I was 18 when I went to Vietnam, it was personal. I wanted the adventure, I wanted the adrenaline, I wanted to see what was happening, I wanted to see if I was brave, if I was strong. But after, you see people suffering and you understand the problems and the consequences of the war and the reasons of the war, and then you become a reporter. And then our mission is to tell the story so it doesn't happen again. It's not really working well because I've been doing this for 50 years. But my mission is to make people that are living in the peacetime understand the danger of war and not leave the people that are suffering more in the dark. Because if you don't have any witness, you don't have any crime. You need a witness to denounce a crime. So our job is, we're fighting against the war by showing the war.
You told me before the program that there were several people who inspired you to become the war correspondent. I would like to ask to put the first picture on our screen.
Well, the people that inspired me is this guy on the left is my father, and he was a soldier during the Second World War and a soldier in Indochina. And after being wounded 4 times, he became a war correspondent, a writer for a newspaper. And his best friend, who became my uncle, is Pierre Schindorfer. He was a war cameraman for the army, and he became a feature film. And he tells the same story, but with actors and writing books and novels. So both of them inspired me by telling me the stories of soldier stories and then stories of reporters who are telling the story of soldiers. And they gave me the line. To be always direct, never lie, never fake anything, have your own word. When somebody tells you, I will show you this, but don't show it on the camera because it's to understand. Keep your word. And they explained me the way to work with the army, the way to work with the people, to respect the people, to have the right distance to take photos with civilians or military, not be invasive and not be too far either. Because where the go-between the people who are suffering, which is civilians and soldiers, and the people that are living, let's say, a normal life.
That is one of the questions we do have in Ukraine, that people who live far away from the war zone sometimes don't understand what is going on in the war zone, and this is even within one country. But coming back to your first designation, it was Vietnam. Yes?
Well, I first went to Israel during the Six-Day War in '67, but I didn't. My pictures were very bad. So my first pictures are in Vietnam in '68.
So what's the main impression from this first official, so to say, and successful mission of yours was?
Well, it was not official, but
I mean official to you.
I was lying about my newspaper. They asked me who I was working for. I invented a name of a newspaper, but it worked. And, well, first I was having fun. We were, in helicopters with young guys my age, 18, 20 years old, and adventure and that. And then I saw the civilians suffering. And then I saw some of my American friends get badly wounded. And then I saw some Vietnamese, their enemy, get wounded. And one day, one prisoner, North Vietnamese, spoke to me in French. And he explained why he was fighting. And suddenly I understood his fight, although I was not for him, but I understood why he was fighting. And I was less friends with the Americans because it was more difficult to have fun then. And suddenly I asked the Americans, why are you doing this? And the guy said, look, we don't need your opinion. We just need your photos to show to the people in America what we're doing. And So I couldn't be with the Americans, I couldn't be with the Vietnamese. I was in the middle, I was alone. I was a reporter.
That
That's
was
it.
scary?
No, it was lonely. But a reporter is lonely. You can't be friends, you can be friends as an individual, but once you're telling the story, you're telling the story in the middle. You have to forget your opinion and your emotions. You're not there to show how brave you are or how much fun you had or how sad you are. You're not here to talk about you. You're here to talk about them, to people that don't know or that don't care, and that's to force them to care. You know.
Fixing the memories of more than 34 different wars and conflicts. What is the war for you?
The war is the same one.
The same?
Yeah. It's always old men that declare war and young people that die. And civilians that didn't ask for anything, that are suffering. There's no difference. There's no difference. It's
Regardless of time, so you started many decades ago, actually.
Yeah, I started in 68, 50 years ago, 52 years ago. Jesus. I mean, it's always the same thing. It's always the end of diplomacy that goes to a fight. Why don't people just can't manage to talk about it instead of destroying everything to make peace after anyway? Now, why did France and Germany fight for so many years? We're the best friends now. We should have started like that, you know. So it's the end of everything. I'm trying to make people understand that it's very easy to start a war. It's very difficult to stop it.
What made you to come to Ukraine?
Well,
why I ask this context of question? Of course, there is a conflict, there is a war on the east of Ukraine, but many people say that Russian propaganda says that it's a civil war, that's nothing special. Sometimes in mass media, people even forget to say that something is going on there. But you come here right now.
Well, I come here because I have a friend who lives here, who's a French photographer, who's Gaëlle Giob, and her friend Volodya. And these two people contacted me, especially Gaëlle, and said, why don't you come here? There's a war going on. And I said, there's no war going on. Because for Europe, there's nothing happening here.
Yeah.
It's over. People don't know. And there's two reasons for that. First of all, it's a slow war. It's a confrontation, but there's no movement. So that's the worst wars possible, because that could last another 40 years. And people don't care. People have their own problems in France, in the United States, in Spain, everywhere. They have problems.
In France, especially right now?
Well, not really, not special.
With all these protests, I mean.
Yeah, we've always protested in France. You know, we've cut the head of kings. You know, so Macron should be careful. He should hold on his head. You know, no, that's not the problem. The problem is that people don't care. People are selfish. This is people of rich countries don't care. My job is to make them care, to waken them up. Otherwise, it's showbiz, showbiz, selfie, 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 nothing else. You know, you have young people that take pictures of them because they went to the restaurant. They take 20 pictures. The guy who went on the moon only took 3 pictures of himself. You know, so this is ridiculous. So we're just trying to explain to the people that there's things happening around the world, and luckily to young photographers like Gaëlle, who roam and look for stories and go around and suddenly are interested in what they're doing. And she wants me to talk about the soldiers. I come and I check it out and I say, wow, this is happening. There's incoming and there's exchange of fire. And then I suddenly talk to the young soldiers and I see soldiers from 50 years old to 18 years old. And suddenly I see a country at war. But nobody knows in France. I called newspapers while I was down there saying, are you interested? I'm in the trenches with the young soldiers of Ukraine. And they said, why are you in the trenches? This is, you know, why are you doing that? I said, because they're fighting. They said, well, no, we're not interested. There's a Festival of Cannes, with all you know. But I'm going to write a story. Well, the chance I have, as I've been doing this since a long time, some newspapers listen to me, so I'm not doing news. I'm doing long-term stories. So I'll have to come back here, maybe, and do a long story, like 10 pages of writing and 10 pages of pictures. Get a real place so people can understand why, the background. I'm reading lots of books on Ukraine, and the more I read, the more I have to read, because your story is like so huge. and so many different things. I thought I would understand quickly. No, I'm not understanding quickly.
Even many Ukrainians don't understand it.
Yeah, but I have to understand why this guy is doing that and who's in front. Otherwise it's just a stupid picture of a soldier shooting.
Where have you managed to be in Donbass?
How I managed?
Where?
Where did I go? Mm-hmm. What's the name of the city we were? Okay. I forget the name. Pisky.
Okay, Pisky, Marinka. So these are one of the hottest places in the war zone.
Because they were always giving different names. I mean, that's the name of the city. But these guys, they were calling different names. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a Sputnik or whatever.
Oh, the positions, yes, of course.
Yeah, they didn't want to give the names. They didn't want me to know where they are. This guy's like 19, you know, and he should be at school, you know. And this guy's, he was 31. He should be taking care of his kids instead of shooting a sniper rifle. And what's terrible with this war, it's lasting a long time. It's not really
5 years.
Heavy fighting. Yeah. It was at the beginning. But now it's a standoff, exchange of fire. That's the worst thing because the morale on the long term, in the mud, in the cold,
and
or in the heat.
It exhausts.
You know, you're dirty, it's the heat. Well, these guys are really well organized. They're organizing themselves. But still, well organized. You know, they always find a way to have a shower and things like that. But under very hard conditions, normally the morale goes down. You know, if you extend the war like that and there's not much happening.
But communicating with them, what impression have you got from our Ukrainian soldiers?
Well, these guys, they have one thing. We're defending our land. And they're very patriotic. They talk about their country nearly with tears in the eyes. And they want to go ahead. They want to attack. They don't want to stay there. They believe in their fight. And especially the thing is, beyond the uniform, you can feel the friendship between the soldiers. They're comrades. I don't know if that's the right word in English.
Yeah.
But they're not only fighting for their country, but they're fighting for their friend on the left and their friend on the right. Some guys said, when I go away and I rest, I'm afraid for my friends on the front line. I want to come back. I don't want to leave them alone. So the main thing is these guys believe. They believe in their country, they believe in their fight, and they believe in their friends. So, but, you know, you have to help them.
How do you think whether Europe, France, other European countries, are they ready to hear this story once again, like 5 years ago?
I don't care if they're ready. I'll make them ready, you know. You know, our job is to, by writing, by TV like you, by radio or by photo, we have one obligation, is to have talent. This is our only weapon. If one soldier shows me something and after asking a lot of people for the permission to go to the front line, I finally get there and I have maybe 3 days to work. So that's not much. You have to go from one position to another. And these guys let me take pictures of them, you know, dirty in the mud and all that. And they're counting on me, they're counting on my talent. If I'm a bad photographer, I'm betraying them. If I'm a bad writer and I'm not telling their story right, I'm betraying them. And the people here, the people in France, if your story is not good, they won't listen.
And I hope that your story will be good and real. Thank you for doing this. І я хочу нагадати, що в нашій студії був військовий фотокореспондент, письменник, журналіст, документаліст Патрік Шавель. З вами були «Прямо в очі».